Hey, what's up, everybody? Yesterday was a really awesome day. We had the chance to sit down with a good friend and musician, Johnny Zambetti of the Palms Music. Johnny also played in a band called Terraplane Sun. You might have heard Terraplane Sun before. Their song Get Me Golden was a massive hit. You may have heard it in TV commercials, movies. It's been in a lot of stuff. So super excited to have Johnny on the show. Just an awesome guy with a fascinating life and perspective, and just all around awesome dude. So we're super stoked talking with him today. Johnny now is in a band called The Palms. You can check them out on Instagram, Spotify, all the platforms really, just across the board. Check them out, The Palms Music. And yeah, the conversation just was awesome. I had a blast chatting with him. Johnny gets into everything from just a fun time with breathwork the other night to what inspires them to write music, to how they go about writing their songs, to branding, all the way down to grit and, you know, the struggle of being an up-and-coming band. And man, they went through some serious stuff. So super fun to listen to their path from Johnny just getting out of school and entering the music world to his first tour with the band getting in a fight on stage. I mean, this stuff is crazy. You can't make it up. Falling into Terraplane Sun and how he met Ben Rothbard, his counterpart in the Palms, and all the way up until creating the Palms. So super stoked to bring this podcast to everybody. We're going to drop their song as always. It's called Republic Enemy Number 1. So big thank you to Johnny and Ben for letting us use your music on our podcast. So the song you're about to hear maybe have heard before, called Republic Enemy Number 1. Totally digging it. We're going to throw on Levitate at the end of this podcast today so you can hear that song as well. But thank you for tuning in. I'm super stoked to drop this podcast for you guys, so I hope you enjoy it, and please give the Palms a look. Anyway, we're going to do this damn thing. Let's go. See y'all at the top.
Holding on tight, saying what's right. Mister, tell me how you know when we're the ones living this life, fighting this fight, changing how the story goes. See, you don't understand.
Just depends. We'll go get it. Yeah, we'll go. Woo-hoo. Good morning. What's up? This is the Launch Podcast. We are chilling in Malibu with Mr. Johnny Zambetti and Mr. Rob Starbuck here. Hanging out. This is, like I said, the Launch Podcast. We're going to chat with Johnny Zambetti of the Palms Music today. And you can find them on Instagram, social, all that good stuff at The Palms Music. You can find us on Instagram at Launch Livin'. You can find Mr. Starbuck here himself at starbuck.rob, and myself, Zach Barbiaz. That's ZACBARBIASZ. And we're going to get this show rolling today. Looking forward to this one. This is about to be sick.
Oh, I'm so excited about it, dude. This is going to be fun.
All right, let's do this thing. We'll see y'all at the top. So, last night, met Breathwork.
Right into it. All right.
Yeah, no,
We're
that's
going
what
right
we're going to
into
talk
it.
about it,
Yeah, this is what I want to talk about. This is actually what I want to talk about. Last night I met Breathwork, and your song came on, and it was the gnarliest Breathwork session of my life. I'm not even kidding. Last night was number one.
It was.
I told you that.
Oh, man, it was so much fun because we're sitting there, we're laying, we're breathing. John Paul always has some good music, and then Levitate just comes on, and I started levitating.
That's how I felt.
Yeah,
It was
Mission
so
accomplished.
it was
Yeah.
so good that last night when your song came out, I was already having a fantastic breathwork session, and then that came on, and I was totally buzzing, like toes through the fingertips. And I almost had to stop, turn on my phone, and start writing. It like inspired me. I wrote down a list of like 3 new ideas for what I wanted to do.
No way.
Yeah, it was so. The song was Levitate, and I swear it was.
We wrote
So
it specifically for breathwork. Yeah, it's a funny story.
Yeah. It's like, but it's crazy. I think you should share your story about you doing breathwork and hearing that song.
Right. I mean, if people aren't familiar with breathwork, maybe they are. I was not familiar with it. It was totally outside of my scope of things that I do regularly, and I'm really excited that you guys turned me on to it. But so, as a first timer, it's a kind of a fully transcendental experience for sure. Because you're not really sure what to expect. There's a lot of not hype, but there's stories being shared of experiences and stuff too. So you kind of go in a little guarded but excited, you know, and then it totally blows all your expectations out the fucking window. Sorry. I don't know if we can swear on this.
Totally.
Yeah,
Go,
right, let it fly.
Right. So, and so, I had no clue that that John Paul was gonna do that, and so it was like third song in, you're really like getting going, and you're sort of like borderline hallucinating at that point. And that song came on, and I can't deny that there was probably something bigger at stake there, you know, some bigger picture thing. Like, why the hell would that happen?
Yeah,
like,
that's the
so
wand.
that's trying. I can't really deny that. I mean, that's not. But anyway, so that it sent me down a definitely like a pathway for that whole breathwork experience too. But it was trippy as hell.
I mean, to have something that you pour your creative energy into and that you love doing, just like pop up in that type of experience has just got to be.
Were you clawed up when your song came out? Did you like want to sweat, throw your hands in the air like in excitement, but you're too clawed up?
That was right before my panic attack where I flagged down John Paul.
Were you ready for the scream?
I had heard about the scream.
Yeah.
Was I ready for? No. I mean, you can really prepare for that because you're in an altered headspace at that point. You've been breathing for 30 minutes basically, and so you're filled with oxygen. You're maybe depleted of oxygen. I don't really know what the science behind it is, but you feel crazy. Yeah, and the scream is amazing. I heard about. I'm a huge John Lennon fan, and he was massive into scream therapy. To the guy who just invented it, passed away, I think, a couple weeks ago. One of the pioneers of scream therapy, and who was John Lennon's coach or therapist.
Oh, wow. I know that.
Anyway, so I've known about it forever. Him and Yoko and everyone, all the Beatles and stuff too, were all about this scream therapy. And he wrote that song "Mother" about scream therapy too. But no, if doing it in a group setting, when everything, you gotta really like put it all out there.
Yeah.
You know.
There's something about having a really good scream. Like, I never even knew this type of breathwork existed, but where I have had some amazing screams are like the top of a mountain, and you're just like let it all out, and you just like so cleansed, and you feel
that sounds amazing,
badass too. But
well, it's like when you get an opportunity to scream in normal life,
you're holding it all in.
You hold it in a lot.
You do.
I mean, you can grab a pillow and scream. I haven't done that since.
Did you ever lose it playing some music where you just like got way into the song and you're just like, ah!
I'll throw out a couple like, woo! Like when you really. That was more in Terror playing when like the trombone solo would like really elevate to a level. I give them a little encouragement while we're out there. Yeah. A scream would be pretty fun. Might freak people out though.
Yeah. Well,
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, imagine being on stage, just doing what you love to do. A scream's got to come out every now and then.
A scream, yeah. We mostly like on it's really like a pinnacle moment is occurring and you like are aware of that happening. We'll definitely exchange some looks like, damn, is this really like, it's more like that, more like, okay, you know, one of those, but a scream could also.
Do you ever get nervous on tour where you just need a big scream? Like, I mean, I was with you guys for that show. Where was that? Teragram?
Oh, at Terror.
You guys had a little song before, and you seem pretty loose and pretty relaxed backstage.
Yeah. At this point, it's pretty. But even at the start of the Palms, I was more nervous, I think, than maybe any Terraplane Sun show, just because it's just me and Ben's thing, you know. Yeah. So it's brand new, and we weren't sure how people were going to react to it, and there was a lot of unknowns, and we had left this thing behind that we built to a level. Yeah. Like, did we think we could ever get back to that level? You know, there's a lot of fears and all that kind of stuff too, which applies to anyone taking on a new endeavor. So I was more nervous probably for the first couple Palms shows than any Terraplane show.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, I don't really get nervous playing. It's more I get nervous about what the reception would
like
be.
Once you're into the playing, you're all good.
Once I'm into it, it's all good. Actually, no, I was nervous for playing too because also it's a different setup. It's more of a hybrid thing too. So there's a lot of backing tracks and there's it's a hip hop, rock, indie, whatever. Like I don't really even know what the genre is. And we kind of let people define that themselves because everyone loves to compartmentalize things now. That's how everyone digests all this information. You got to compartmentalize it. So that works with music. There's like 5 billion subgenres now of music, and all of them are kind of similar, you know. So there's a lot more tracks and stuff too, and that's just a way to get that sound and the vibe across and the feeling, and we're comfortable with that. It was more just how other people were going to react, which is a dumb thing. Who fucking cares? Right. It's the human mind, right? Like you can't, it's like it's art, it's personal and stuff too, and like you want to put out your best form of that, you know. So But now it's all good.
What does nervousness feel like on stage? Like, do you get up there and once you start going, you're good? Or is it always like right before you get on stage where you're like, damn, kind of got some nerves right now?
I would get nervous before, kind of like a butterfly thing. And I also get like exhausted like right before too.
I get yawns and I like cough when I'm
100%.
nervous. Like that's
really
if
funny.
I'm nervous, if I'm yawning and I'm coughing. And it used to happen to me before football games. If I have to just do something
really
uncomfortable, that's right where my brain goes. And then once I'm into whatever it is, I'm fine. I'm flowing. I'm like right in there because I'm like in the moment doing it. So whether it's like having to speak in front of some people or nervous before a race, once I'm in it, I'm great. But beforehand, I'm nervous because I'm thinking about the future and I'm not in it. I should just be relaxing and meditating, but instead I'm like, oh my God. Like,
What are they going to think?
how am I going to sound?
I wonder what that reaction is that makes us tired before.
Yeah, that's
because that's a
interesting.
very I can totally relate. Like right before, I mean, you can hear the people outside. Like it's we're in it already,
Right.
but at the same time, I'll be like, oh man,
Right.
Your mind
like,
is
what is that?
racing. You're just
Totally.
using up all the energy.
So let's talk about Terraplane and the Palms, just like
The journey.
yeah. Like I mean, Terraplane was big. You guys had Get Me Golden was pretty big.
Yeah, Get Me Golden was big. Yeah, so we started Terraplane in 2000, the end of 2010, basically beginning of 2011. So I had moved back from college. Obviously, we were done right when
that was
when
like
we
right out.
graduated.
Wow.
Yeah, so we graduated in 2009, and then I left and went on tour with Swayze for like a few months. We were doing like Warped
That's
tours.
right.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know Swayze from
We grew
Malibu?
up together out here. Yeah, he was
Right.
like my best friend. We were kids.
Right.
Yeah. So before that, I was in a band called White Star with the white dude in Swayze, Cisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where it all
basketball team, like the white dude on the basketball
yeah, the
team.
white, yeah. And he's a basketball player too.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So I did that. So that's when I did like my semester abroad was at Georgetown. I left and went on tour.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
never knew that.
Yeah, so I was in
Cool semester abroad.
Yeah, I was my semester abroad, and I got credit, so which is even more
sweet.
surprising.
Yeah,
so
through the music program. You were
through the
in-
business school.
Really?
So I got music business credits. So thank you. And then Professor America was his name. Did you guys ever have him?
America?
Yeah.
No.
And that's a gosh darn American right there. That's a good. Yeah, giving me credits to go on tour is like the most American thing I've ever heard. And then
So sick.
and through the music program, I was a music minor too. So yeah, so Dr. Anna Chalenza, she hooked it up. Just shout out. So anyway, I was reading books and submitting book reports too while I was like on tour.
Dude,
that's
so
really
funny.
cool.
Yeah. So that was White Star, and then the band actually broke up in December of that semester abroad, and so I went back to school in January.
Is that like breaking up with a girl is like really hard? Or
Well, so it
is
wasn't
just
my
like-
band.
Yeah.
So I was more as like,
Damn, you're like,
I was like kind of watching it from the outside, just
Yeah.
completely implode. And it was a really interesting. I mean, fist fights on stage. It was like a very,
way.
yeah, it was pretty amazing.
That sounds
we
pretty
left the
exciting,
tour.
though.
It was crazy. I was like 18 or 19 junior year. Yeah, 19.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah. So I turned 21 senior year, so I was 19. Anyway, so the band split up. I watched this whole thing implode. It was really interesting because you see like how dynamics and ego and all that stuff plays into band relationships and stuff too. So I definitely learned a lot, and just learning about touring and everything that comes with it, and if you're built for it or not. And people were like kind of falling off left and right. So I learned a lot in that time period. So graduated. Played some shows with Swayze, and we were it was more just fun. But I knew I didn't want to be a side man. That wasn't really my idea of my musical sort of journey, being just like a hired gun kind of thing. I knew I had a lot of songs in me to write.
Well, just like
and do all that
plugging
stuff, too.
into
Playing someone else's music.
Yeah.
So not really have ownership of the content or anything too. I brought a lot to the table in terms of like playing, but that wasn't that was only a part of it. So so I met Ben Rothbard in 2010. He had Terraplane's Son, which was his solo project, and he put out a record.
So it was
with a
just him
producer.
at the time?
It was just him. He had played with Cecil, who's now in the Palms, and was in Terraplane as well too.
Okay.
But so he put out a record and stuff too, and we had met, and so we met. This is just a funny story. It's worth including as a little side note. We met as background extras on an Allstate insurance commercial.
Oh yeah, I love that story.
my first commercial ever. Like, it's a great gig, and it's a lot of like creatives do it because it's like good money. And if you join SAG, there's a ton of benefits and all that stuff too. Plus, you could only have to work a few days a month, and like you make your nut, so you can pursue other shit.
LA.
So it was my first job ever. Yeah, it was an Allstate insurance commercial. That's where Ben and I met. We had a ton of mutual friends, but no one ever thought to introduce us. I don't know why.
Good friends.
It's fine. Great friends. Yeah, I overheard
Thanks,
them talking
guys.
about. Yeah, they're talking about like the most influential rock records in the last 5 years or something. I'm on set, first time ever. We're sitting in the Forum parking lot. I was like, all right, let's like pass some time, you know. So I jumped in. We were shooting the shit, exchanged info, some songs and stuff. So the first time we ever got together, we wrote a song called Misdirection, which was on the first Terraplane Sun record. So it was like pretty immediate. Yeah, so basically through that whole experience, we put out Get Me Golden was interesting. It's funny because that's like obviously like the most popular Terraplane soundtrack. It took us all over the world basically, and it's a tongue-in-cheek song about making money, which is the funniest part because like we were in a position where we were feeling like we're doing so much work and we're writing really great stuff and we feel great about the content and we're really like everything was in line creatively, but it's taking so fucking long.
Yeah.
But to start seeing like
yeah. So we're like maybe we're too like off the path, whatever. Start to question all those kinds of things. But you don't want to just like the worst thing you could possibly do is try to like write a hit. Because what will happen is you will get defined by that song because people will hear that first, and then hopefully they go back and check out your back catalog, and if that's like where the meat is, but people don't have that kind of creativity. It's kind of like they see one thing and they get it, they digest it, they want more of that. So what we did basically was we had that in mind of being a little bit more pop, mainstream, whatever, but we wanted to make sure that the message was what came across that like this is not really what we're about. So that's basically what Get Me Golden is. It's a tongue-in-cheek song about making money, and that's basically exactly what it did.
Because you were on all sorts of commercials. I remember going into bars in Chicago at the time, and there'd be a game on, and during the commercial break, y'all were like in the middle of before the game would pick back up. Get Me Golden would just start playing.
Yeah, no, totally. It was wild. Yeah, we had a lot of success with syncs, which is when you sync music and visuals together, TV, film, commercials. So yeah, we had commercials. We had 2 massive nationwide commercials. We had video games. We still get hit up about Saint Rose 4, some like random video game. Some like nerdy dudes are hitting us up, and then so. But at the same time, it became that defining like kind of sound thing too, and people were lumping us in with other bands. So like the identity of the track did get lost because we aimed more mainstream, and it hit. So it was sort of like we gambled on that one, and we didn't lose, but it was just an interesting thing. People were like, it sounds like Foster the People, and these were the big bands at the time too, whatever.
I guess so. I never even, it does, I guess, a little bit, but I think you guys have a unique sound. I don't know if it's...
No, I mean, with Ben's voice, it's definitely unique, so I always say he could sing Happy Birthday. People would know it sounds like...
Right, yeah. I mean, I walked into a bar in Flagstaff, Arizona, in the middle of the Arizona Trail when I was hiking, and they were rolling the whole album.
Wow.
Yeah, the Get Me Golden was...
Oh, that's really funny.
And it was like, that album definitely had big reach.
Yeah. No, it did. And the Terraplane story may not be done yet. I don't know. But basically what happened, long story short, is we just signed a horrible record deal. And you get to that position when people get, you get desperate. Not desperate, but like that there's a lot of politics involved in the record business. And a lot of businesses. And it's one of those things where you kind of have to align yourself with certain people and conglomerate things to push through. We kind of got conned. It was a label that had sort of revamped. They had a ton of success in the 90s. They did like No Doubt and Bush and stuff too. I'll leave them out of this because it's not really even important. But we're not the first. We won't be the last. People sign horrible record deals all the time.
Yeah, the other Johnny we know.
He's what you do afterwards, I think, is really what the defining thing. I mean, it goes all the way back to Springsteen and Petty. I mean, both of them couldn't even release music for a year because they signed horrible records.
That's crazy.
And it's like you're just learning, right? It's like
totally. I came out with a master's degree in music business for sure. I know exactly what not to do, what to do, what it takes, what the sort of like what the markers are, what all that kind of stuff. So we took all the information. I mean, we easily could have just been like, good run, boys. Like, we'll see you next time, Right. But Ben and I mean, this is what we do. So we wrote a bunch of songs to get Terraplane out of that situation. Because they it's called shelving. They shelved the record. They cut tour support. So you basically, the band is stuck, you know?
Right.
So we wrote a bunch of songs to get Terraplane out of that and try to like write another hit and make money so we could buy that masters back and stuff like that. But through that writing process and we were recording stuff too, we were like, you know what, it doesn't have to be for that. And that was liberating because felt like we were dragging this thing through the mud, you know. And
you were trying too hard.
We were trying too hard, and it was a heavy load, and it was a lot of drama and a lot of stuff too. Some band, you know, there was, you know, personal issues in the band and a lot of crazy shit, and I'll leave that out. But so that's when we wrote a couple songs, and then we wrote Push Off, basically like coming out of a writing session. We were doing top line writing stuff where you get put with producers and stuff too, and we were looking for anything, just momentum and something to grab onto, you know. So we're doing all these things that were fucking terrible. Some dude's backhouse in Encino trying to write the next 5 Seconds of Summer song against 8 billion other people. He has zero love for it, you know, and he's just sitting there smoking a hookah and like putting in a Fruity Loops beat. You're
Picture
like,
it all right
so
now.
horrible, you know. And so he left to go take a piss, and Ben and I started writing Push Off in the middle of this writing session for other people because we were so disillusioned with the whole process of like these writing camps and like everything was on the clock, and like I got one at 2, so I got to be done by 3 because I got another at 4.
How do you get creative like that?
Well, it's tough. I mean, my friend Brandon actually said an amazing quote. He heard it from somewhere else, but he was like, you know, it's like finding inspiration is you don't wait for inspiration to find you. It's you banging your head against the wall until you find inspiration. Mm-hmm. And I totally believe that because you can but you can find inspiration because if you wait for it to find you, I mean, you'll be waiting your whole life.
Right.
So it's like there's a way to work towards it and exercise that inspiration sort of muscle so that you can locate it within. I mean, it's all around us.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like you guys know that more than anything. You're calling me about how beautiful the moon looks. You know, like you're seeing this shit in real time.
That moon, bro?
And it's true. And sometimes you forget to look up. You know, stuff like that. It's all around you. So yeah. So we found the inspiration for Push Off was basically just. It was everything. It was
amazing. It's an amazing song.
No,
I love that song.
I love Push Off. That song is.
Thank you.
Yes, that's an amazing song.
That's really awesome. It's touched a lot of people because it's definitely one of our most honest tracks, you know. So, and it came from just being like, okay, we've been shit on. We got sued by our original manager. I mean, that was a whole other story too. Terraplane went through a lot.
Man.
Yeah. We've been signed, sued, and shelved.
Oh my god! I didn't know you went through all
this. Signed, sued, and delivered. Yeah. So, oh, dude, like the bands. I mean, that could be a whole another hour of just like what happened to that band. But, yeah, our original manager of Terraplane sued up. We weren't even making any money. I mean, we had one commercial, but it was like coming after people for like side income and a horrible dude. It's pretty much unheard of really in the business, but we found like the bad egg. Mm-hmm. So he served us when we were walking on stage in San Diego. But our tour manager caught wind of it because he's a gangster. He's like, that dude looks fishy as fuck. So he told us, he's like, go to the bar across the street to his friend's bar, and we left. And he went up to the guy and basically like sussed it out and told him to fucking scram. So we never got served the actual papers.
That's
but
awesome.
He tried to serve us before the show. So we played the show just knowing that it was going to happen. But anyway, lawyer to lawyer, they sorted it out. But oh yeah, I mean like any young band out there, like the most important member of your team is your lawyer. Yeah. So.
Man, I'm calling you for any and all advice and I got
the music business pretty. I don't have it figured out whatsoever, but I just definitely know what pieces need to be in place.
It sounds like all that mess is a blessing in the end.
It was. I mean, so like when we started the Palms too, like the first person we put on was a lawyer, and they're amazing. And we're still with them, and it's just you got to be protected.
The Palms is getting equally as big. I mean, you said 6 million listens across all networks. You're saying?
Yeah, across all networks, it's like pushing. It's like about 6 million. Yeah,
I think
Zach and I are responsible for like 500,000 of those.
Yeah, thank you. That's why we have the podcast.
1,000 followers.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
How does that feel? Is that a crazy feeling to know that 6 million people have heard your voice?
Yeah, I mean, or it could be like 5 people just playing the shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, okay.
No. It's interesting. I feel like we still have so much more that we want to accomplish that we don't fully like let that sink in at times when we should, but we're very much like focused on an end goal kind of thing. So this is all stepping stones, and we know that we're at a level now where it's like 500,000 monthly listeners. We're putting like 1 million streams a month. So like we're at a level of like some major label artists. We're doing this completely independent. So that's the most exciting.
That's awesome.
Sick. Is there a way to track unique listeners? Like, because that's what I was thinking at first, and then I was like, oh, good point. It's like it could be, but still, I mean, it's amazing that 6 million plays. That's just insane, dude.
You can't track on SoundCloud. You can see some unique listens and stuff too, but on Spotify, it actually just shows where like the top cities are and
that was my next question. Like, you're getting plays. Was it South America? You said you're really hot in.
Yeah, it was playing this stuff like crazy. Yeah, the biggest thing too for independent artists, I mean, everyone knows this now, is that there was a 2-page spread in the last Rolling Stone, is about playlists. Spotify playlists are basically the new radio, and it's totally like defining careers and like making people's careers. So because everyone wants to know what the secret sauce is. Like, how the hell do you land? Like, I mean, in hip hop, it's Rap Caviar. If you're on Rap Caviar, like you made it. You know, rock, it's less defined as like one hit playlist, but there's a ton of them, so you can land. I mean, they have like, you know, upwards of 600, 700,000 monthly listens or followers on these playlists and stuff too. So, but the thing is that it's just like you have to grow it from day one. You can't just like show up on the scene and land a playlist. I mean, you could. Stories happen all the time. It's kind of like a Hosier thing where like he got plucked out of obscurity, thrown on the radio and blew up. Like, where is he now? No one knows. Like, what's another song? Fuck if I know. I'm in the band, no. So like it happens, but it's all about the long game and growing it organically and slowly. People always say that, but it's like it's really true. If you don't build your core thing and you have a really strong brand and you've got something sticky to grab onto, then by the time you're at the front of the line, it can all kind of go to hell in a handbasket. It might look like you've done it, but have you? And you'll see about longevity and stuff like that too. It's really tricky. So everyone's always like, how'd you guys land all these crazy playlists? I mean, it's like, we'll call some people. Like, we had a contact over at Spotify. I mean, it's up to them to play this stuff. How we got on 10 playlists, like, that just means the song's reacting. So it's like, end of the day, a good song will go. That is still true. There's a lot more music available online because every video with a laptop can make a song and put it online. So it's like, there's just a lot of, it's oversaturated. The cream will rise. I mean, I feel like that is still true. The Spotify playlist thing, though, is just really interesting.
Can you talk a little bit about the creative process that goes into a song? Like, you and Ben, I know after your show at the Telegram, we were vibing on that for a little bit. I was like, how do you just like write a song, come up with the music, and then also make it sound so good? Like, where does it start and how does it kind of finish? Totally.
Yeah. So our process has always kind of been like to jam on a progression of sorts, either that, you know, that someone will bring in or that will come up with there. And then Ben usually will just kind of like, we'll start throwing around melody ideas and stuff too, and be like, okay, and something will stick that we're two very different people. So if we can meet somewhere on something, then then we'll pursue lightning, right?
Yeah. That's why over here. It's like thunder, lightning.
Did we just get privy to some nicknames?
That's what we've been saying.
It's so funny.
Thunder and lightning.
Yeah, it really does. It helps. If you can merge the two, like you're saying.
Totally. And also, you then land on something that's very unique. Yeah. It's not really either.
Yeah, they're overlapping circles.
Overlapping circles, concentric circle kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's that's super. So yeah, we'll throw out some melody ideas and stuff too, and land on something that we kind of vibe with, and then it's kind of just like the spacing and mumbles and sort of syllable placement kind of reveals. It's like almost like alphabet soup or something, where you're like kind of like letting this shit rise to the top, and you're like, okay, there's a word in there somewhere. You grab onto that.
It's really picturing a big room of a bunch of people sounding like they're tripping balls.
Yeah, totally.
Just throwing words out there.
Dude, I wish if I had prepared, I could just play you like a voice note, and you'll hear like, I would love. I think it'd be like some data, some place in the sky, place in the sky. Okay, cool. Now we're on some place in the sky. Yeah. So now it's like, what does that mean?
Wow.
Okay, well,
so
some
cool.
place in the sky. Well, it means like, are we already there looking down and seeing how shit's kind of shifting below us and how we come back and we can fix that? Are we here looking up and wanting to achieve that sort of elevated state?
Awesome.
Okay, cool. Now we're in it. So now it's like, let's start figuring that out. So that's just like the songwriting process. It's kind of like, that's where it reveals itself to you, you know? Because it's a bigger thing.
That's so
I'm
organic.
not like spiritual, like I kind of am, but like there's just a bigger thing at play when ideas and these things are you're just you really are kind of channeling something.
I mean, it's totally spiritual. It's weird.
Yeah.
If your passion's at it, your passion is your spirit. So I mean, it's fuck yeah, it's spiritual.
Yeah, definitely spiritual. Yeah.
You know, like running spiritual for me, just like music.
No, yeah, I almost like I'm saying that like I don't want to like maybe I am more than I think I am, but I don't. Yeah. So
you're super
I'm kind of going through. Maybe I'm just realize that now.
I think that's so cool. We'll have to. I'd love to hang out in the studio and just watch y'all vibe.
Yeah,
cool.
it's. I mean, it's a long process, you know. So there's a lot of trial and error, obviously, too. And then so when it comes to like picking the tones and stuff too, that's another like defining thing, definitely of any band is like. The song is one thing, but once you actually we write, record, produce everything. So it's sort of. We have full control, but at the same time, like we've got to push ourselves to keep it creative and unique. But it's got to be tied in to everything else that you've made, you know. Mm-hmm. So we use there's usually always an acoustic guitar on every song, but when we started programming drums, that's when everything changed, and that's really what defines the Palms is that it's programmed drums.
What do you mean by program?
Programmed drums is nothing's live. There's no live drummers.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
gotcha.
And that was basically out of like cost. It was financial.
Necessity,
it was a financial decision to not. And once you remove that, I mean, the biggest costs in recording are like renting out a studio to track live stuff. I mean, we have so all these little home studios and stuff. You can do a lot of things to a certain extent, but like to really get a great drum tone, like you need a room with great mics and like all this shit. And that's expensive. So when we became a 2-piece, also you gotta have someone who plays that shit. You know? So we're like, no more members. You know, it's like 2 of us. We already wrote all the songs, most of them for Terraplane, all the big ones. So like we're like, this is it. Like we're this creative thing. So that's when we started producing, and that just opened up a whole can of worms. Also in the fact that like with the Palms different than Terraplane was in a Terraplane song, all 5 of us had to be playing on every song. Or else it'd be weird, you know? Or else there's a guy sitting there who's not playing at the live show, and that's odd. With the Palms, it's like, it doesn't matter. I mean, it could be just a flute song, and none of us play flute, but who fucking cares? It's like, anything goes. Or a laser can come flying out of nowhere. It doesn't matter who played it.
I want to be at that show.
Yeah. So it's like, we can use samples, and we can do, you know, that Steve Jobs like sample and stuff like that. And I wish I wrote it down because I know that you're asking.
Well, yeah, I do want to get into that after you talk.
But so stuff like that, so we can throw in a lot more into the mix and not be worried about who's covering it live and stuff like that. And that's what makes it a hybrid too. And we like really embrace that. Like a lot of times we were running with a computer on stage, and we're not embarrassed by that because there's a lot of synthetic things that are incorporated and make the sound. So we're like, we embrace that.
Yeah, I think that's what makes one of the things that makes you guys unique. And you said it is like it's so hybrid. It's all these different things that are different and new. It feels like, you know, like I've never heard the Palm sound, just like I hadn't heard the Terraplane Sun sound before. So
yeah,
you can tell what you guys are doing. It's rad.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all right.
That's the goal.
Yeah, for those listening, the song that you heard opening the podcast.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Have you heard it yet?
I haven't heard it yet.
It's awesome. You'll obviously hear it on this one. It's called Republic Enemy Number 1, and we love that song. It's just, I don't know, I think it speaks to us, speaks to, you know, what we're trying to do. Could you talk a little bit about the creative process going into that? What
Definitely.
the song is, you know, about to you, to Ben? Kind of go from there.
Yeah, so it's been a little bit, but I totally remember being in the writing process of that song. There's a common theme through all of our stuff, the Palms especially, and it's attacking social issues, which we 100% want that to be a focal point of our music, for sure. There's a quote that we always say from Nina Simone saying, an artist's duty is to reflect the times. And it blows our fucking minds that every single artist on the planet right now does not have a song that doesn't have blank you, either love you or fuck you in it, in every single song, because that's where we're at right now. You know? It's either like promoting love or really fucking pissed off. That's kind of the defining thing of 2017, I think. 2016 as well, too, was a pretty jacked up year. Mm-hmm. So we make sure that that's included in every single song, and you can peel away layers. It may not be that obvious. Republic Enemy, I mean, you can't really, it's there for you. Republic Enemy number 1. So that's there. But there's a silver lining in every song, too. It's hope. So we make sure that there's that juxtaposition. Not a juxtaposition, but a sort of an inclusion that with hitting these sort of social issues on the head, attacking them, or at least voicing them, and then putting in the silver lining too, so that it's not just like this voidless sort of thing, which I feel like is really big right now, is just stoking fears and anxieties and all this stuff without a real solution, and hope is a solution, but it's not a tangible real solution. But I feel like you have to have this yin and yang thing, or else you feel powerless and it's a void kind of, So Public Enemy #1 is definitely in that thing. The Steve Jobs quotes is like incredibly inspirational, talking about sort of it's talking basically just about hope and like interconnectivity and all that stuff too. So the chorus of Republic Enemy is you can make change from your bedroom, which is more true now than ever.
In a cell phone,
100%.
It's just like it's crazy.
So the chorus is tell me, it's like you can do what you want. You can do it from your bedroom, living how you want, believing in what you want, loving how you want, basically. Like, you can spread these sort of, these huge, like, activist things all are starting off a laptop, So it's using that power for good, basically.
It's so powerful, and it's crazy you say from a cell phone, because, everything we do is from a cell phone. Yeah, we're rolling the computer and the mic right now, but pretty much everything we do is from a cell phone or through Instagram for the most part. It's just unreal, the reach you can have. Just like that Gary Vee the other day, like the internet, he was just like screaming into his Instagram, like the internet is a fucking miracle, and it is. And and you guys have had crazy grit and, like you said, patience in getting your name out there, and you've done it all grassroots pretty much, right? It's not like you have some crazy campaign out there. It's you guys grinding hard as hell.
And it's evident. It's really clear that y'all are grinding.
It feels so
awesome.
genuine. Yeah, it's like when you are with Johnny Zambetti in person, it's the same person you're seeing on Instagram or on stage. So I think that's really rad, and it shows in what you're putting out, music, all the content, But that's hard. That's gotta be so hard. Like,
thank you. That's obviously really not flat. That's just great to hear, because that means that we're doing.
Well, you know it.
Thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you do. But it's it's nice to be reminded, because you're not sure how everyone is reacting or receiving the information. It's like you can't ask everybody. So it's nice to hear. But
you guys have done it, right? You guys have done everything.
We do everything.
From
every video that we made the push-off video for like $300.
Get out of here!
Yeah,
$300,
maybe less, because what we
compare that to like a typical music video.
Well, things that you can do a lot of stuff for a lot cheaper now too. The technology, everything's available. Like you can buy a 5D and shoot a sick video. For $3,000. But yeah, we just pulled. The reason we did it in one take, because we wanted to make it as cheap as possible. That wasn't like,
wow, good point. You can't roll like 20 takes.
No, we're not even going to edit this thing. Yeah. Let's get one take. So the push-up video is only one take.
Wow.
Yeah, we did it 5 times, but we took one fluid take, and that just made it way easier to make it,
Right. I don't think most people just. Well, I shouldn't say most people. I don't know. I'm just assuming, but don't realize even just how much I'm actually talking about. It's like you guys you're coming up with the shirts, you're sourcing that, you're doing everything. You buy a Palm shirt and it's like this personal note from, I think it was when I got it, like Ben was the one that signed off on it or something. I don't even know. But it's like you guys are doing everything. It's like, oh yeah, that's so much work, man. You guys need to get credit for that. I'm just trying to push that message.
No, that's all. I don't think people,
I think what I'm getting at is like the hustle is real. And you got to put in the work, and you guys have definitely put in the work. So
it goes across the board.
6 million listens,
Yeah, you guys, I see it in what you guys are doing now too. It's like there's an intense focus. It's very clear. It's hyper driven, and you can feel that, and you can see it's reacting to, and it's completely genuine.
Yeah, so just flowing, right? Like it's not hard for you to go do some shirts because you want to put some shirts together because you love the band and put.
It's hard to rubber band for tie dye, but we do all that shit too. That's the funny thing that I think people like just. Yeah, it's like you really have to remind them that there's 2 people doing everything.
Right,
we hand tie-dye every single shirt.
God, that's so
We've
sick.
Sold, there's like thousands of shirts at this point. So, anyway.
That's rad.
It's all part of the process.
Talk a little bit about what's going on December 7th.
So December 7th, what we're doing, December 8th, we're releasing a mixtape. And we're calling it a mixtape, which is really untraditional for indie and rock music because it's a hip-hop sort of thing. But it's an amazing concept because in between album cycles, you can release they release a shitload of music. Drake put out like 2 mixtapes in between albums, you know? And the concept behind that is that this doesn't have all of this attention and seriousness and whatever comes along with, like, this will be our debut album if it was our official record, you know? So, instead of it feeling that this big, important, crazy thing where it's got to be this big push and all that, and the tour supporting all that stuff too, we have a ton of music that we've recorded in 2017, and we want it's doing no good sitting on a hard drive.
Right.
It's a singles-driven market right now in music, so everyone's dropping singles, very calculated on Fridays, trying to get new music Friday, and it's like everyone's doing the same shit. So for us, instead of just like sitting on this body of work, we're going to release it, and we want to release it as a mixtape, so that people can just hear what that chapter sounds like. And then we're going to keep releasing singles and stuff that we have and that we're still creating. We're writing 5 days a week. So December 8th, we're dropping the mixtape. It's basically everything that's been done up until this point in 2017.
That's cool. It's like telling the story of the band, you know, just like seeing the progression, what's going on. I mean, I know you're always storytelling in music, but that's cool. It's like you're seeing the different phases. We're getting it in music, doses of music.
Totally. It's very much like... it is that, and the thing is that instead of sitting on it even longer too, but if we were to put it out later, it wouldn't make sense with even the stuff that we're writing now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's got to come out in this form, and why wait? So that's sort of the idea.
So at what point do you drop an album?
You drop an album when you have a big enough listenership where it can be digested and not just a throwaway. Because I mean, it's a shitload of time and money. I mean, every time you mix a song, it's $400. To master, it's $150. So it's like we've invested, you know, probably $10,000 in just mixing and mastering over all the songs over all the years. So, actually more, definitely more.
That's a lot of t-shirts.
We've made like 20 fucking songs. It's a lot of t-shirts, yeah, right? It's a lot of t-shirts. So you put out, you want to capitalize on a debut album when there's that base is there that can really appreciate that much music in that much time. Otherwise, it happens even on the biggest levels. Do people they're just waiting for the singles, and then they'll hear that another single was released and wait for that and buy the single. It's actually like dive into an album. It's like people really gotta fuck with what you're doing, you know? So
how do you know that as an artist? Like, how do you know that like this shit
that's a great question
you're putting out is like really resonating with your fan base?
So there's obviously all of the like metrics we have. We're privy to all that shit because of Spotify's just collecting so much data. But the only way to really know is to me would really just be like on a crazy tour. And if you're like really pushing big numbers of live, you know, people really willing to drop that coin and show up on that date to come and see you play, then I think it really resonates in the fact that like, okay, there's something really sticky here and people are buying into the whole thing versus just crushing plays online. Because there isn't really a crazy correlation between Spotify plays and ticket sales. That's what my agent told me. He's the biggest agent on the planet. And he's like, we're still trying to figure out what that connective tissue, like where we see that line. Because there's bands that he works with that have 1 million monthly listeners and millions of plays, and like they're selling way small small venues than they should be comparatively, you know?
Wow.
So it's like when if you see it, like if you put out a single a year ago and you're still matching the same plays you are today than you were when you first put it out, like people are coming back or either discovering or like are really invested in that too. You know, there's ways to look at it, but in my opinion, it'd be like, okay, we're selling out theaters across America, like people are with us kind of thing.
It's interesting.
That's what I would say. But I mean, it could be different. There could be metrics that like, okay, this shit's really hitting. Like,
well, I mean, do you and Ben sit down and like, yo, it's time to go on tour? Or like,
I wish it worked like that. Yeah. That would be incredible. It doesn't, for the fact that tours are like the most competitive thing to get, and then meaningful plays too are really fucking tricky for a lot of reasons. Politics, obviously. A lot of times Atlantic books an all Atlantic bill. So if you're on Atlantic Records, you're going out with an Atlantic band. See you later. No room for anyone else to get in. So that's one option. The other one is sometimes ticket sales. So another headlining band needs to make sure the supports bring fans because they want to make sure every venue's packed out. If they're worth 400 and all the rooms are 600, they got to make sure that you're worth 200, you know, and like sell out the tour. That's another thing. Also money. A lot of times people like take money in order to fund the tour or pay the openers nothing. So like you got to have tour support in order to go out, you know? So each tour costs like $5-6 grand, you know, even just for like a short like 8-day run. So it's worth it if you're playing in front of numbers and you can see a spike, you can sell merch, all that kind of shit, you know? So, but it's really fucking hard. Like I said, we have like the best dude on the planet. He does Ed Sheeran and Coldplay, like two of the biggest bands on the planet. You know? And he's really struggling trying to get us to tour. And we have amazing numbers and stuff too, you know? So it's tricky. It's a tricky thing.
What's it like being on tour? Like, what is that? I mean, is it just constant go, go, go? Are there any points where y'all can like shit? Like, take us through what's
the average tour. Yeah, I mean, it's mostly just. I feel like, I mean, damn, it's definitely like the PC. I feel like it's any like endurance kind of thing. You like the first like week, you're like exhausted, tired, more tired than you've ever been in your life, and then the second week you're like, we'll have more energy.
Yeah, give me more.
You know? And then you can just,
and then you're cruising.
Like, then you're on course.
Yeah.
And then you get home and sleep for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And so every time, like, I'll just be like, lights
totally.
out, like, don't talk to me. I'll be back in like a couple days. But when you're out there, it depends. Like when we were doing like heavy duty radio promo stuff, it's like those are early, you know. So it's like you roll into a town, like float in's usually like 3 or 4 o'clock. Sound checks are like 6 or 7. Show times are like 9:30, 10. By the time you're done, packed up, everyone's out, you've sold merch, you've hung with everyone, you get paid out because they gotta wait till they close out. It's like 12:31. How far the next venue is, if it's a 4-hour drive and you're playing the next day, you leave immediately. You know, if you got a day off, you sleep in that city and then drive the next day and show up the next part. You know, but radio promos usually like 6:37 a.m. So you're rolling into a radio thing, you're banging out an acoustic thing, doing interviews, stuff, whatever, chill, go to the venue. You know. So it's a lot of like hurry up and wait kind of shit, you know. It's like, okay, we gotta like crush it, we gotta fly to the radio, and then you're there and they're like, okay, cool, like you guys are on in like 45. You're like, all right, cool. So then you're chilling, and then it's like 3 songs, like banging out this thing. Then it's like, okay, you got 6 hours until sound check. Then it's like sound check, show, like merch, like schmoozing, like all this shit, bam, bam, bam. And then it's like, okay, now we're driving again, you know. So there's a lot of like ups and downs. It's not made for everyone.
Yeah, do you just get
Yeah,
sure. Do you just get into like a flow of how it goes? Like,
yeah,
it sounds like super stressful. Obviously, someone from sitting from the outside, but once you're in it, if you're doing something that you love, I imagine you just kind of just flowing through something like that, right?
Totally. I mean, well, we know that it's means to an end, and we know that the more people we talk to, I mean, we talk to every single fucking person. Like, I will sit at the merch table or go to the bar, and like I will meet everybody. And that has an effect. I mean, we see it coming back. So when we're out there, like it's promoting this whole thing, and we know we need fans, and we, you know, so it's like also it's a different city every night. That still has an allure to it. That's like the glamorous-ish part, is that you gotta like, not even glamorous, but like that's just an exciting thing that. Different reactions, how different crowds react in different parts of the country. It's super interesting. How different demographics show up in different parts of the country.
What's the wildest crowd you've ever had?
Wildest.
I guess I don't know. Or just like
Other than the fight on stage.
Yeah.
Other than different size. I mean, the biggest.
Or what's the
wildest? I mean, the coolest shit was when we were opening for Imagine Dragons. And we were playing like amphitheaters, stadiums, basically. Like
right. That's essentially my question. Like, what's your favorite show?
Well, that was cool because they were so young and so excited. So we'd go out there and it'd be like some boy band shit, you know, or like they're just like so happy, and then but they'd stick with us for a long time. Like we still have fans from those Imagine Dragons shows.
That's awesome.
I've come to.
That's what you try and do. I mean, that's what you're trying to do, right?
Trying to lock in for sure, and they'll become that off a genuine interaction. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be personal or in person or like a physical thing. It's more like they can tell online if you give them that attention or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we try to like respond to every Instagram comment, every YouTube comment, like all this shit. Like we're hitting everyone back personally.
I think that's
like,
massive.
We're here, you know, like,
massive.
talk to us, you know.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of my favorite parts about going to music festivals is you kind of have like these few hours throughout the day that you're just kind of like stumbling around from stage to stage, and then you just hear this band, you're like, oh damn, I could totally vibe with these peeps, and then you're following them, and then you're going to their shows when they go on tour.
Well, what do you guys look for when you want to like when you find a band, and then or like a DJ or something too, and you're probably first inspired by the music, right? You got stumbled on it through a playlist, through a friend, hearing it somewhere, Shazamming it, listening, right? Mm-hmm. And then what's the extra step to then get you to show up? You either like fall in love with the record, or like has it ever been like into their like social messages and stuff? Probably not, you know? It's probably like it's all music.
For me, it's the way the music makes me feel, man. Right. Like I go to a Dead and Company show and I'm just dancing the whole time, you know? Like just just went to
But even
Kings of
Odessa.
Leon. I'm way into them. Like
Yeah.
I just can for them. I can just relate. It's still sound based though. Like they're my favorite, one of my favorite road trip bands. Honestly, I listened to that whole Terraplane album nonstop when I was hiking. So that was like some of my. I don't love the new Palm stuff. But it's really, for me, it's sound. But I mean, there are messages that I appreciate. But
it's experiential. It sounds like when you're running, listening to something, you want it to like enhance your what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I've only recently, in the last few years, really gotten into lyrics. So for most of my life, it's just been sound. Anyone that knows me, it's like a butcher lyrics nonstop. But I'll hum the hell out of that tune.
And you're probably the majority of music listeners, I would say. I mean, someone can challenge. I don't know really, but I mean, the whole thing is don't bore us, get to the chorus is like a big thing because people just want to be like,
that's great,
baby.
That's great.
Yeah, it's I think the biggest thing for me to get me to be a big fan of yours is when I see how much you love performing on stage. Like when I went to like a big gigantic show, an Odessa show, even like a J. Cole show. Snoop Dogg, like
insane.
They just love being up there. When I see the Palms play, when I saw Terraplane play, when I saw you up there, it's like so clear that you're doing what you love, and you're not doing it for the money. You're not doing it for fame. You're just doing it because you fucking love it. And it's very, very clear. And that's what gets me to come back to a show. That's what gets me to, scope out your old stuff, scope out someone else's old stuff. That's what really gets me there.
That's great. I'm happy that's coming. I'm not totally jaded yet.
Not yet, right?
I'm not up there just phoning it in.
Yeah. No, but that's
when it's done. I mean, that's something that Ben and I talk about a lot because we've had a lot of hardships in this journey together. Like I said, it's through everything. Once it stops becoming fun, it's done. And we want to hold on to it and forcing that. So that should come across.
That's great. Because no one's gonna like
that
it.
We're still, we're still into it. So yeah, we're still there.
You mean when you're like, when it becomes more work than actual,
Yeah. I mean, fuck, it's a lot of work.
But you're flowing through it. It's like fun work.
Yeah.
I think we can speak to
that's
that.
what we talk about all the
doing.
time with doing this with Launch, and just as it grows, it's like I do not want to work hard. Everything that I produce, everything that we produce, everything that we put out, I want it to just be totally natural and organic production of my everyday life or what I'm into. And the minute I start feeling a lot of resistance, the minute it gets hard or we start forcing it, I run the opposite direction, and that it just turns off. So I totally feel that it's got to be natural. It's got to be fun. That's when you get your best shit.
Right.
Yeah, the less thought, the better. Like I don't want to have to think out all this stuff because it just come to you.
Right.
I think it sounds like it's the same with some of the creativity that goes into songs as well.
Definitely the songwriting thing. It's what comes to us. In terms of the business part of it, it's definitely work.
Yeah.
And we have to be, and it's something that we don't really enjoy doing fully, but we know how vital it is to the operation. So it's something that you kind of just have to put your head down and just suck it up kind of thing, because there's a lot of bullshit working in a big industry like this too. In LA, there's so many hacks that are just coming out of the woodwind that are, woodwork trying to just take advantage of people. Too, so it's your head's on a swivel constantly, your guard's up, there's a lot of big promises and stuff. We've learned a shitload, obviously, but I really feel bad for younger bands that are not aware of how poisonous this industry can be.
You gotta have your wits to you, huh?
You gotta have your wits to you, and like I say, get a lawyer.
So biggest advice to people on the come up in the music business is...
Biggest advice, I mean, is to make sure your core team is just bulletproof, which is usually a lawyer first, and then I'm gonna say a manager. Yeah. Because managers are tricky, man. I mean, we haven't had a manager since we got sued. We have not had him. We had a girl that was helping us out, who's a brand new NYU graduate, who's just kind of doing a lot of reaching out blind kind of blog stuff. And then that's another part about the whole push off thing was that we just put it online through this thing called Submit Hub, which is a really great thing for up and coming artists, where you submit songs and they go to all these blogs and stuff too. And SoundCloud is an amazing thing too, because you don't have to worry about all the back end royalty shit, all that stuff too. It's free. It's a great thing to send around. It's a quick link and all this stuff. You don't have to have it be a Spotify member or whatever, and we put Push Off up, and 6 months later we submitted it. It started getting some blog love, but then another song called Future Love we submitted. It got on this blog Indie Shuffle, and that started climbing like the ranks in the top 10 at Indie Shuffle. And then Push Off came out of nowhere because of that attention. People were finding the back catalog.
Wow.
And that's when it went to number 1 on Hype Machine. And that's when like Chloe Moretz was tweeting it, and like all these like people listen to Hype Machine like crazy. Yeah. So that was a big turning point for us, because it was sort of that validation, like, okay, you guys are doing something right. Because up until then, we were like, fuck, like, we're like from this blues band. Now we're like making like hip hop loops. Like, what are we doing? You know?
Well, you're still.
But we love hip hop.
Yeah.
Like, we grew up in LA. Both of us are born and raised in LA. Like, what? We burned.
Yeah.
The Chronic 2001. Like, I can't. Like, I couldn't even spit it out of my CD player. It was melted.
Yeah, same. My mom found my Chronic 2001 CD.
Yeah.
Zachary, what's this? I was like, what's that?
Like, Mom, it's the Chronic. Chill.
Yeah, chill.
Ma.
I mean, that album.
It's the Chronic.
I think that's cool, though. I mean, you go from one sound to the next. It's fine. Like, goes back to that just natural, organic growth thing. So,
Yeah.
I don't think you have anything to worry about there. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, once we saw that, we're like, all right, cool. Like, people are vibing with it. It's not like we're not totally out of our mind.
I mean, people do that all over the industry, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
Beatles went from like crazy hippie Beatles stuff to like all the different stuff they did.
Totally.
Like, the Sgt. Pepper's was totally different than the other stuff.
Than the
And
buttoned up.
now
like,
Taylor
boys.
Swift is like rapping with Drake. I mean,
Gonna be really interested to see how this plays out. The Taylor Swift thing is pretty wild. She could land on her feet, but it's
I mean, talk about transition.
Katy Perry did not land on her feet.
Yeah,
no one knows what the fuck she's doing. That Migos thing was horrible, but incredibly entertaining for like all the wrong reasons.
We're just trying to keep it real, Katie.
Yeah, we love you, Katie.
Yeah, love you, Katie. But what the hell? But we love you.
Dude, so excited for you guys, man. Y'all are awesome.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is damn. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, just happy to be here. December 7th.
December 7th is the show.
Where can we find you?
So December 7th, yeah, we're playing at this place called Club Bahia. We just took it over for the record release party. So December 7th, Club Bahia on the east side on Sunset. And then December 8th, Mulholland Drive, the mixtape, will be available everywhere you can find music.
So sick. And Mulholland Drive, great road.
Yeah, Mulholland Drive. We're putting out 2 mixtapes. So mixtape 1 is going to be Mulholland Drive, and the second one's called PCH, and that'll be out later.
I'm gonna have
See
a
what you're
special
up to
connection
here.
to PCH.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Spent a lot of nights in PCH.
Yeah. Spent a lot of nights.
Oh man.
That was rad. Any
final thoughts?
Any final thoughts for you? No
Kids,
thoughts is fine
here's
too.
a lesson from your Uncle John. Yeah. Don't buy drugs. Become a rock star and then get them for free.
Damn. All right. Well, that was sick. Thank you for that. I'll let you get on with your day. We're gonna roll. Maybe we'll roll Levitate after this.
Yeah, let's
one
drop
so you can hear
Levitate.
that song. But once again, that was Johnny Zambetti, mayor of Malibu, least dean of admissions at Soho House. I don't know. Maybe bold.
One shot and I'm golden, but I don't care cause I'm golden. Woke up Sunday morning with a song stuck in my head. I'm seeing things right before me, used to own me, but that's all me. And give it up was the best thing that they said.